Hi and welcome to Old School Blues Guitar. It is time for the Classic Licks lesson for April, May, June 2017. This time around we're going to look at the early recordings by Fenton Robinson. Fenton Robinson is one of the great kind of blues jazz guitar players, but early in his career he recorded a lot of just straight raw blues, including some classic songs like Somebody Loan Me a Dime and others. What I'm going to do, just like I did last time around, is go through and just pick out, 10, 12 ideas, things that I picked up from listening to these early recordings that I like. The CD or the album that I got these from, it's called Fenton Robinson, The Early Recordings, and it's on YouTube in its entirety. I couldn't find it on Amazon. I'm still looking for it to buy it, but this is where I listened and got these ideas from. I'm going to start out in the key of B flat. He's got a tune called Mississippi Steamboat, and he does a lick in that song that you'll hear him use quite a bit in these early recordings. It goes something like this. And that is a typical early Fenton Robinson lick. Let me do it again. That little trill, that's a trademark of his early in his recording career. So the song is called Mississippi Steamboat, and if I remember right, this is from the solo. So we're going to be in B flat. My first finger would be over the 6th fret if I were playing a first position B flat bar chord. And he starts out with this bend of the 3rd string at the 8th fret, and then he's going to get the 6th fret of the 2nd and 1st strings, and then 9th fret, 6th fret on the 2nd string. Kind of a pull off. You can do it that way, or you can just play it straight like that, and then he's going to do it. So the whole lick, he's going to bend, and when he bends he's going to kind of let it go back to the 8th fret of the 3rd string, and then wind up on the 8th fret of the 4th string, and then that little lick where he's got his first finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string, and he's going to do the trill on the 7th fret with the first finger anchored there. So that whole lick, and if you listen to a lot of these early recordings, you hear that lick or something very similar to it quite a bit. So playing this, that's a very typical electric blues lick, but taking it all the way and then throwing that in at the end, that's what I hear Fenton Robinson doing. So again, that's from a tune called Mississippi Steamboat, and that is lick number 1. Called As the Years Go Passing By, which is a classic. Albert King did this song too. It's in B flat. So again, we're going to be playing over the first position blues box, and he does something similar to the first lick, but with a different kind of twist to it. So let me play this lick all the way through one time. So it's very similar to the first lick. Again, we're in the first position blues box, and he's going to bend up. So this is B flat. He's going to bend up on the 13th fret of the 3rd string, and then get the 11th fret of the 1st and 2nd strings, 2nd and 1st strings. So it's like this. That's the first part of the lick. So he's going to go 14th fret to the 11th fret on the 2nd string, and then to the 14th fret of the 1st string. And it sounds like 14th fret of the 1st string, 11th fret, and then 11th fret of the 2nd string. Something like that. So try that. And then he's going to do these bends real quick on the 13th fret of the 3rd string, and then kind of back and forth. Something like that. That's what I hear, and that's from a tune called As the Years Go Passing By. So one more time slowly. Reasonably slow. One more. And there's a second example. So doing this lick, you could do it like that. Let's do it the first lick. Or you could go to the 1st string again. And he does a lot of variations on that idea. He might do something like this. But a lot of his licks start out with that, that bend, and then kind of that rake on the first and second string. So that is a common idea that you hear in a lot of Fenton Robinson's early recordings. So that is lick number 2. One more time, slowly. And that's where it ends up. A is a chord lick from the introduction to You Got to Pass This Way Again, which is one of my favorite blues songs of all time. And he starts the song out with these sliding 6 chords, which are kind of neat. And it's an A flat. That's an unusual chord, or key, but that's it. And he starts out like this. And he does some kind of single string run. We're going to focus on the chords. So for an A flat, he's going to start right here, and I've got it's like a D minor shape. Is that right? Kind of like a D minor shape, but it's not. I always get confused on that. Let's just stick to the 6th chord. So if we had an A6, we could play it like this. We can also play a 3-fingered version. And what I'm doing is got my first finger, so an A flat, I've got my first finger on the 4th fret of the 1st string. Whoops. My second finger is on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, and my ring finger is on the 6th fret of the 2nd string. So altogether I've got... And then what he's doing at the beginning there is just keeping that shape and sliding with this from here. Sliding that back and forth. If you've ever heard the old instrumental Memphis, Chuck Berry's song Memphis, or Lonnie Mac's version, same chords that he uses in part of the solo for that. And I'm sliding with my 3rd finger, or my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd fret of the 3rd string to the 5th fret. Like that. So he actually slides twice. One, and then he's going to move it here, and then slide over the 4 chord, which is a D flat. Exact same shape, exact same riff. This time my first finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the 1st string. And he's going to go back to the A flat. The song goes to the 5, he does a little single string run in there as well. So the sliding 6 chord, just a really neat introduction to that song. I've always liked that, and that's something that I picked up. Alright, that was lick number 3, and we'll move on. Tune called Sorry You're Leaving, and it's in the key of what's it in? It's in the key of C. And there's a lick he does, a double stop lick, which is kind of cool. It reminds me of the tune Chicken Shack. And if you've ever heard Chicken Shack, that's like an instrumental that every blues band does. If I'm playing it in C, it'd be something like this. I don't know if you know that lick or not, but in this tune I'm talking about, Sorry You're Leaving, he uses something close to that lick as he goes from the 5 to the 4 to the 1. And I thought this was a cool idea. So the song's in C, so our 5 is going to be a G. And he starts out, when the tune goes to the 5, he does something like this. So, and then he goes to the F, or the 4. And then back to the 1. Well, I can't remember what he does exactly. So that lick, we're just playing over the chords. We're playing over the G, which is the 5. We're playing over the F, which is the 4. Then we're going back to the C. So the way I hear it, he starts on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and then does one of these double stop hammer-ons. First finger on the 3rd fret, 2nd and 3rd strings, and then hammering on the 2nd finger to the 4th fret of the 3rd string, but he's also getting the 2nd string. And then briefly flattening out the ring finger on the 5th fret, 2nd and 3rd strings before going into that. So it's like, in this lick, I'm using my 2nd and 3rd fingers. Got my 2nd finger on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, and my ring finger on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. It's a 7th lick. So here's a G, G7. So the whole lick, he just does that quick strumming on the 2nd and 3rd string. Something like that. And then he goes to the F. He doesn't play the exact same thing, but something real close before he goes back to the 1. I just thought that was a cool double stop lick. You could use that as a fill. You could use that in a solo. You know, if you're playing single string run. And then you go to the 5. Go back to the 1 with the single string runs. You can use that however you want, but I call that a chicken shack lick because it's got that chicken shack kind of sound to it. So that is lick number 4, and again that's from a tune, if I have this right, it's called Sorry You're Leaving. So this will be lick number 5. This is a rhythm idea, and a lot of times when I listen to these old guitar players, I look for ideas for what to play behind a singer or behind a harmonica. And I look for things that are different, unique, so I'm not playing the same thing all the time. And he does this song called Directly from the Heart, which is in the key of G, and he does a variation on kind of a common blues rhythm, which I think is really interesting. I have not heard this anywhere before. So from the key of G, it goes like this. I'm going to play it all the way through the 1, 5, 4, just one verse through. Like that. And this part, the bass part, that part's not all that unusual. It's just a walking bass line. But what's unusual about this is when he uses that same bass line on the 5, the 4, and the 1, or the 1, 4, and the 5. So like over the 1, from the 3rd fret of the 6th string, and then 2 to 5 on the 5th string. Then he's going to go to the 3rd fret of the 4th string. And on the, when he plays it over the 4, he's going to move everything over. And then when he plays on the 5, he's going to start on the 5th fret of the 5th string. And what's unique about this is with each chord, with each part of the song, he's going to play the same riff. And he's not going to change it. And normally, you'd play that over the 1 because it's in the G, first position blues box. But he plays it with the 4 and he plays it over the 5. And it took me a couple times listening to this to think, okay, is he doing anything different? So listen to this. Hear that? And he goes to the 4. And he just keeps that going. And even on the 5, playing the same lick. So instead of changing it, some guys, if you're playing over the 4, you do something like this. And instead of doing that, you're just going to go to the double stop, 2nd and 3rd strings, 3rd fret, like that, instead of playing this. You can probably hear the difference there. So if you're backing up somebody or want to create an instrumental, I've already got an idea for an instrumental with this lick. That's an idea of something that you can play. So again, it's... Check out the tab, and the song is called Directly from the Heart, and he plays that throughout the entire song. So that is lick number 5.